I'm showing how to use a Lightboard to flip the classroom. And first I want to introduce the Lightboard and what is necessary to build one, and then I will show how I use it in my teaching. So, what do you need? And the centerpiece of this setup is a piece of glass, and in our case we have about 2.5 by 1.2 meters, and this is what I'm actually writing on. So I'm writing on a piece of glass here. And then you need a special set of markers. Those are fluorescent markers. Fluorescent markers. Along the perimeter of the glass is a chain of LEDs which bring in light from the outside, and they make the paint of the fluorescent markers illuminate. So we need some LEDs. You need a studio for this, a dedicated space, and we have a studio of about 8 by 8 meters. Can be a little bit smaller than that, but you need definitely a certain space for that. And audio and video hardware, and that includes a mic and a good camera and video hardware to process the videos. So I am not writing backwards, but the video is rather flipped horizontally. So we are using a hardware called TriCaster for this. And you need a media person that helps you run the whole studio. So this picture here shows the other side of the studio, where we have a media specialist sitting and taking control of everything, making sure that I'm heard okay and that I'm recorded correctly. So there is labor involved, and depending on how much money you spend on the video hardware itself, you can do overlays, and so it's also possible. It's not just that you show whatever you write on the glass, but you can bring in pictures or diagrams if you want to explain something or show a picture from your research. Then you need clothes. So something unicolor is actually the best. You don't want something that has too much pattern in it, or stripes, or something distracting. Because the video is flipped, you also don't want something that says a certain name or brand name, because that would show on backwards, which then might be distracting for the audience. So adding all this up comes to costs of about $10,000 to $15,000, mostly depending on what you already have and how much money you spend on audio and video hardware. And I use this concept in my teaching through a learning management system, so something like Canvas or Blackboard or Moodle, or there's probably a bunch of others. And I record videos, and usually I prepare a concept, something like this, that shows me this is what I want the Lightboard to look like whenever I'm done. And that yields to videos of like 5 to 10 minutes. After the video, the students take a quiz where they can show that they understood what had been taught in that video. And I usually set up the learning management system so that they need 80 to 100% of the quiz correct in order to proceed to the next video. So then there will be a second video with a second quiz, and so on. Third video. Ooh. Then with a third quiz. Number 3. And they always have to pass the quiz in order to get to the next video. So that way I can make sure that they understood concept number 1 before they get to the next concept. So in this way I teach a whole topic. And that'll be the first topic on something, and they usually get a deadline for this once they have to have this finished. So I make sure that through the semester they make enough progress and they follow along with everything. And then there can be a second topic, and so on and so on. So all this happens at home. So all this is home time for the students. Then what happens at class time? In class time, I have them then perform active learning, and that means I usually put them in groups, so there'll be group work, and within their group work I let them solve real world problems. And this is what the class time is for, because now they consume their fundamental knowledge at home, and that frees up a lot of time during class. And I can also just help them do homework, or meet with them and go through the videos so they can let me know what they did not understand, and I can pick them up there and explain that a little bit further. So what are the advantages of this approach? First of all, the students learn at their own pace. So, in comparison to, let's say, a 50-minute lecture, what they have to follow along 50 minutes, if you lose a student after 10 minutes, it's the chance that you win him back for the remaining 40 minutes is very low. Here they are in control. They can watch one video and then take a break, or they can watch a whole sequence of videos, but that's up to them, and they can do it when they feel they are in a good condition to learn. So. And then second, students improve communication as well as writing skills. Now, because they use their class time to work in groups and solve real-world problems, and here I always have them create a product. So they have to communicate within their group with their peers, and they have to usually write like a little technical paper on the real world problem that they try to solve. And then students learn systems instead of single concepts, because they work on real world problems They usually look at the whole system and they see how different concepts interact and affect each other, which helps them better understand how real-world problems work, other than just looking at a single concept. So they're being taught single concepts, but then through their group work, they actually get to apply this and look at the big picture. And lastly, this whole class time pretty much mimics future work scenarios. Because students, they will not spend their work time sitting in a lecture hall and listening to an instructor. But they will work in groups, they will work in teams at their job later on, and they will solve some real world problems. So that means they're training in class, and in class time they are training what they will be doing later on in their careers. And this whole concept, I use this so far for on-campus teaching. So students consume this at home, they come to class, and we actually have class time. But I can use those videos and quizzes. They're all set up, so I can use this and then also turn this into this dance. That's a little bit on. Into a distance education concept. So I can pretty much copy and paste the concept, but then I also can teach students that are off campus. And instead of off-campus students having to watch just a recording of a lecture, they get to watch videos that are actually tailored to be taught as distance or across a computer screen.